Maybe you've forgotten, but in addition to William and Kate's dreamy marriage, the British royal family is also proud of another compatible couple, Prince Edward and Sophie. As two members who say no to scandals, their married life is likened to a cup of pure distilled water. They have managed to improve themselves as working royals and have admirably become each other's support. However, life doesn't lay out a red carpet for anyone. To get to where they are today, Prince Edward and Sophie had to go through many big and small events so that their love could be masterfully honed. Let's look at the marriage of Prince Edward and Sophie. Just begin with Prince Edward and Sophie's first interaction. They found their way to each other through a series of chance meetings and evolving circumstances, rather than a storybook romance. Their initial encounter in 1987 at Capital Radio, London, was far from auspicious in terms of romance. At that time, Sophie Rhys-Jones, as she was then known, was introduced to Prince Edward through a mutual friend who happened to be dating the young prince. This introduction, however, did not spark any immediate romantic interest between Edward and Sophie, as both were involved in their own lives and relationships. The British royal family during the late 1980s and early 1990s was in a period of significant turmoil in terms of marriages. The well-publicized breakdowns of marriages such as Prince Charles and Diana Spencer, Princess Anne and Captain Mark Phillips, and Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson highlighted the strains within royal relationships. Against this backdrop, Edward and Sophie's paths crossed again in 1993, 6 years after their initial meeting. This time, both Edward and Sophie were single, having navigated through personal and public changes that influenced their lives. Their reunion in 1993 occurred at a charity event, where they found themselves in each other's company once more. Reports suggest that theirs was not a case of love at first sight. Rather, it was a gradual connection that grew over time. The circumstances of their reconnection allowed them to develop a deeper understanding and appreciation for each other. Their relationship began to blossom as they spent more time together, discovering common interests and shared values. However, their romance almost failed in the mid-1990s. According to insights shared by royal expert Ingrid Seward, chronicled in her book Prince Edward, the couple encountered significant challenges that nearly led them to the brink of separation by the summer of 1994. These difficulties arose from the natural adjustments and pressures that accompany any relationship, compounded by the unique demands and expectations placed upon members of the royal family. The early years of Edward and Sophie's courtship were marked by a period of adjustment for both individuals. For Edward, being the youngest son of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, meant growing up under the scrutiny of public and media attention, alongside witnessing the tumultuous relationships of his siblings. The specter of marital strife within the royal family, including the highly publicized separations and divorces of Prince Charles and Princess Diana, Princess Anne and Captain Mark Phillips, and Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, cast a shadow over Edward's own romantic pursuits. Sophie, Countess of Wessex, brought her own experiences and perspective into the relationship. Her background in public relations and business afforded her a different lens through which to navigate the expectations of royal life. However, the transition into the royal fold was not without its challenges, as she adjusted to the protocols and public responsibilities that accompanied her relationship with Prince Edward. The strain on their relationship became evident as disagreements and arguments began to surface, prompting doubts about the future of their union. Ingrid Seward's account underscores the pivotal role played by Sophie's steadfast commitment and determination during this critical juncture. Unlike Edward's previous relationships, which had not endured, Sophie's resolve to weather the storms and not allow their bond to falter proved instrumental in steering their relationship back on course. Sophie's tenacity and dedication to their partnership provided a stabilizing force during a tumultuous period. Her efforts were complemented by Edward's own realization of the pitfalls that had ensnared his siblings' marriages. Together, they forged a path forward, navigating the complexities of royal expectations while nurturing their relationship. There is a truth that the Queen did not have a good first impression of Sophie. Ingrid Seward's book, Prince Edward, sheds light on the Queen's initial skepticism towards Sophie, describing a chilly reception where Her Majesty reportedly remarked, "You wouldn't notice her in a crowd." This blunt assessment reflected the Queen's preference for a more commanding presence, and perhaps her concerns over Sophie's suitability for the royal role. At the time of Sophie's entry into Edward's life, the royal family was grappling with intense public scrutiny and media focus on the failed marriages of other members, such as Prince Charles and Princess Diana, and Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson. The turbulent relationships of these high-profile couples had cast a shadow over the monarchy, prompting the Queen to be particularly cautious about new additions to the family circle. Sophie's background as a successful businesswoman and her pragmatic, low-key demeanor stood in contrast to the more flamboyant personalities that had previously captured public attention. While this may have initially led to skepticism from the Queen, Sophie's approach ultimately proved to be a stabilizing influence within the royal family. Her discretion and commitment to duty resonated with Queen Elizabeth II, who came to appreciate Sophie's steady presence and dedication to supporting her son, Prince Edward. Over time, as Sophie became more integrated into royal life and took on official duties alongside Edward, her positive qualities began to shine through. Seward notes that the Queen's initial reservations gradually gave way to a genuine fondness for Sophie, recognizing the value of her sensible approach amidst the tumultuous backdrop of royal affairs. Sophie's ability to navigate the complexities of royal protocol while maintaining a sense of authenticity and humility endeared her not only to the Queen, but also to the British public. Sophie is said to have helped the prince come out of his shell in the early days of their romance. Indeed, as they navigated through rough patches, their mutual friends observed that their relationship brought out the best in each other. This dynamic not only benefited Sophie and Edward personally, but also provided a sense of stability amid a period marked by the collapse of several royal marriages. During the mid-1990s, when Sophie and Edward were establishing their relationship, the royal family was experiencing significant turmoil in marital affairs. The separations and divorces of Prince Charles and Princess Diana, Princess Anne and Captain Mark Phillips, and Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson had dominated headlines, casting a shadow over the monarchy. In contrast, Sophie and Edward's commitment to each other offered a beacon of hope for a stable union within the royal household. Their contrasting personalities played a pivotal role in their relationship's growth and resilience. According to insights from authors Garth Gibbs and Sean Smith in their book Sophie's Kiss, Sophie's vivacious and outgoing nature complemented Edward's more reserved demeanor. This pairing, while surprising to some observers, was seen by mutual friends as mutually beneficial. One friend described Sophie as good fun, a laugh, attractive, and the sort of girl most men would enjoy chatting with, highlighting her affable and engaging personality. Edward, known for his serious and introspective nature, found in Sophie a partner who brought out his lighter side. The transformation in Edward's demeanor when he was with Sophie, noted by friends and chronicled in Vanity Fair, underscored the positive influence she had on him. When Edward's with Sophie, he becomes good fun too. It's extraordinary the effect she has on him, remarked one acquaintance, illustrating how Sophie's presence enriched their relationship. In fact, Prince Edward felt pressured to propose. Why? In the midst of their courtship, Prince Edward found himself repeatedly questioned by the media about his intentions towards Sophie. According to reports detailed by Express, journalists pressed Edward multiple times about when he would propose to Sophie, reflecting the public's keen interest in royal romances and marital milestones. The relentless scrutiny took a toll on Edward, who was known for his more reserved demeanor within the royal family. His frustration with the constant questioning boiled over in a moment captured by the press. In response to persistent inquiries, Edward reportedly snapped, "If you shut up, mind your own business, and let me do it when I want, it's much more likely to happen." This candid remark highlighted Edward's desire for privacy and autonomy in deciding the timing of such a significant personal milestone. Edward's frustration extended further as he expressed, "The more people second-guess, the less likely it is I just won't do it," underscoring his resistance to external pressure influencing his decision-making process. His comments revealed a glimpse into the challenges faced by members of the royal family, who often find their private lives subjected to public scrutiny and speculation. The lack of privacy inherent in royal life added complexity to Edward and Sophie's relationship journey. As they navigated their courtship amidst media attention, they sought to maintain a balance between personal fulfillment and public expectations. Sophie, with her background in public relations and business, brought a pragmatic perspective to managing the challenges of royal life alongside Edward. Then, Prince Edward's proposal to Sophie, Countess of Wessex, in 1999 marked a significant moment not only in their personal lives but also within the context of the British royal family. After navigating the pressures of public scrutiny and media speculation, Edward and Sophie were thrilled to announce their engagement, a decision that brought joy and relief to both families, particularly Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. The announcement of their engagement, reported by The Guardian at the time, conveyed the couple's happiness and the positive reception from their families. For Queen Elizabeth II, who had witnessed the dissolution of 3 out of her 4 children's marriages, Edward and Sophie's engagement was a moment of personal happiness and a hopeful sign for the future stability of the royal family. Edward and Sophie's decision to marry at St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle, held symbolic significance. The chapel, known for its historical importance and ties to the royal family, provided a fitting backdrop for their union. The couple expressed their desire for a ceremony that honored tradition, while also reflecting their personal commitment to each other. The engagement itself was a carefully considered step for Edward and Sophie. According to an official statement from Buckingham Palace, they sought permission to marry from both sets of their parents during the previous Christmas holiday. This gesture underscored their respect for family traditions and ensured that all parties involved were supportive of their decision before making a public announcement. Edward's proposal to Sophie was accompanied by an engagement ring from Asprey Garrard, a renowned jeweler with a long-standing association with the British royal family. The ring, described as featuring 3 diamonds in a modern setting, represented a blend of traditional elegance and contemporary style, a reflection of Edward's thoughtful approach to honoring Sophie with a meaningful symbol of their commitment. Unlike the whirlwind engagements that occasionally characterize royal romances, their relationship unfolded over a span of approximately 5 years before they announced their engagement in 1999. This extended period of dating allowed Sophie ample time to acclimate to the complexities of royal life, providing a contrast to more recent royal engagements, such as that of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. In an interview with the Sunday Times, Sophie emphasized the significance of the time they spent together before becoming engaged. "I'd had 5 years to adjust," she remarked, highlighting how this prolonged courtship facilitated her transition into the royal family's unique demands and expectations. This adjustment period was crucial in preparing Sophie for the role she would eventually assume as a prominent member of the monarchy. Comparing her experience to that of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, whose engagement came relatively early in their relationship, Sophie acknowledged the challenges inherent in adapting to royal life without the benefit of an extended courtship. She noted that her 6-month engagement to Edward provided her with insights into royal protocols and the intricacies of palace life, yet acknowledged that the future remained uncertain despite her preparation. "For our 6-month engagement, I was even staying in Buckingham Palace," she disclosed to The Times, highlighting the immersive nature of her introduction to royal duties during that period. After that, the couple approached their wedding day in 1999 with a deliberate choice for a more subdued and intimate celebration compared to previous royal weddings. While it maintained the grandeur expected of a royal occasion, their wedding at St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle, was characterized by its joyful atmosphere and personal touches, rather than the elaborate pomp and circumstance seen in other royal nuptials. The decision to scale back on military and state involvement set their wedding apart from traditional royal ceremonies. Unlike the weddings of Prince Charles and Diana Spencer, or Prince William and Kate Middleton, which featured extensive military processions and state elements, Edward and Sophie opted for a more relaxed and familial atmosphere. This choice reflected their desire for a wedding day that focused on their personal commitment and the celebration of their love, rather than the formalities of royal protocol. Despite the toned-down approach, the wedding still captured the attention of millions worldwide, with approximately 200 million television viewers tuning in to witness the joyous occasion. The global audience underscored the enduring fascination with royal weddings and the public's interest in witnessing a new chapter in the royal family's history unfold. Sophie, Countess of Wessex, made a memorable entrance in a gown designed by Samantha Keswick, crafted from silk organza adorned with 325,000 pearls and crystals. The gown's simplicity complemented Sophie's understated elegance, emphasizing her timeless style and grace. She accessorized her wedding ensemble with the Anthemian tiara, a fitting choice that added a touch of regal splendor to her bridal look. Photographs from the day capture the happiness of the newlyweds, accompanied by Prince William and Prince Harry, who were then teenagers, and other members of the royal family, including Queen Elizabeth II. The presence of family members underscored the intimate nature of the celebration, emphasizing the importance of familial bonds and shared moments of joy. However, just a short time later, both faced significant challenges in the early days of their marriage, navigating through public relations setbacks that tested their resilience and commitment to their roles within the royal family. Despite Sophie's background in public relations, which included co-owning a firm at the time of their marriage, their initial months together were marred by controversies that drew intense media scrutiny and public criticism. One of the earliest controversies arose from their wedding registry, which included a lavish tea set valued at $90,270. This extravagant item sparked public debate and criticism, raising questions about the appropriateness of such opulence, even within royal traditions. The scrutiny highlighted tensions between royal privilege and public perception, underscoring the challenges faced by Edward and Sophie as they sought to balance their personal preferences with their public roles. The situation escalated with the emergence of the Sophie tapes, clandestinely recorded conversations between Sophie and her business partner, Murray Harkin. The tapes, which were later leaked to the media, contained discussions that proved damaging to Sophie's public image and reputation. In these recordings, Murray Harkin allegedly discussed drug use, while Sophie herself made controversial remarks about members of the royal family, including Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles. Before this tragedy had passed, Edward and Sophie were hit by another incident. The birth of Lady Louise Windsor, the first child of Prince Edward and Sophie, Countess of Wessex, in November 2003, was a harrowing experience that deeply impacted Sophie's life and left a lasting impression on the royal family. Initially, Sophie's pregnancy had progressed smoothly, seemingly without complications, until a sudden and alarming turn of events occurred just a month before her due date. At the time, Prince Edward was on an official royal visit to Mauritius when Sophie began experiencing severe abdominal pain. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, Sophie was swiftly transported to the nearest hospital, where medical professionals diagnosed her with a placental abruption, a serious condition where the placenta separates from the uterine wall prematurely, endangering both the mother and the unborn child. Facing a critical medical emergency, doctors performed an emergency cesarean section to safely deliver Lady Louise. The suddenness and severity of the situation, left Sophie traumatized, as revealed by a close friend who spoke to the Daily Mail. The friend described the birth as utterly traumatic, emphasizing the profound impact it had on Sophie, both physically and emotionally. Despite the successful delivery of Lady Louise, the experience of facing such a life-threatening complication during childbirth left Sophie scarred, both figuratively and literally. The aftermath of Lady Louise's birth prompted reflection within the royal family and the public on the challenges and risks associated with childbirth, even for individuals within privileged and well-supported environments. Sophie's experience underscored the vulnerability of mothers and the critical importance of access to immediate and high-quality medical care during emergencies. In the years following Lady Louise's birth, Sophie has been candid about the lasting effects of her traumatic birth experience. The event not only shaped her personal resilience, but also influenced her advocacy efforts in supporting initiatives related to maternal health and childbirth education. Sophie's commitment to raising awareness about maternal health issues reflects her personal journey and the lessons learned from her own challenging childbirth experience. After that, by the time of James's birth, Edward and Sophie's relationship had evolved within the public eye. According to the Sunday Times, they were maturing into their roles as senior, full-time royals, embracing their duties and responsibilities with a renewed sense of purpose and commitment. This period represented a significant transition for Sophie, particularly as she balanced her previous professional career with her new responsibilities as a member of the royal family. Sophie, unlike some other royal spouses, had a successful career in public relations before marrying Prince Edward. This background provided her with valuable skills in communication and diplomacy, which she would later apply to her royal duties. However, joining the royal family necessitated a shift in perspective for Sophie, requiring her to recalibrate her expectations and approach to her public role. In an interview with the Sunday Times in 2020, Sophie reflected on the adjustments she had to make as a working royal. "I had to reduce my expectations of what I could actually do," she shared candidly. The role demanded a focus on ceremonial duties, such as thanking volunteers and supporters, rather than actively shaping policy or organizational strategies. This shift required Sophie to embrace a more supportive role within the royal household, contributing to charitable causes and public engagements while maintaining a respectful distance from operational decision-making. Knowing the difficulties of becoming royal, Prince Edward and Sophie have maintained a deliberate approach to parenting by prioritizing privacy for their children, Lady Louise Windsor and James, Viscount Severn, amidst their roles within the royal family. Despite being grandchildren of Queen Elizabeth II, Edward and Sophie have strived to shield their children from the intense public scrutiny that often accompanies royal life. Lady Louise Windsor, born in 2003, and James Viscount Severn, born in 2007, have grown up with a measured exposure to royal engagements and public appearances. Unlike their cousins, Prince William and Prince Harry, who were more prominently featured in the media from a young age, Louise and James have largely been kept out of the public eye. This intentional decision reflects Edward and Sophie's desire to provide their children with a semblance of normalcy and privacy away from the royal spotlight. Sophie, in particular, has been vocal about the importance of protecting her children's childhood from excessive public attention. She and Edward have been careful not to overwhelm their children with the obligations and expectations that come with being part of the royal family. This approach has allowed Louise and James to develop their own identities away from the constraints of royal protocol, fostering a sense of independence and autonomy as they grow older. One notable anecdote that highlights the Wessexes' efforts to maintain a grounded family life involves Lady Louise's early perception of her grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II. According to Sophie, Louise initially had no concept that her grandmother was the reigning monarch of the United Kingdom. This revelation came as a surprise to many, illustrating just how effectively Edward and Sophie shielded their children from the royal hierarchy and its implications. Sophie recounted in an interview with the Mirror that Louise's realization about her grandmother's royal status occurred gradually. As Louise interacted with other children at school, she began to hear comments about her gran being the queen. These conversations puzzled Louise, prompting her to seek clarification from her parents. Sophie recalled how Louise would come home and express confusion, saying, "Mummy, they say that Grandmama is the queen," to which Sophie would gently confirm the truth. The shifting dynamics within the British royal family have indeed been palpable in recent years, marked by significant events such as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's decision to step back from royal duties and the passing of Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. Amidst these changes, Prince Edward and Sophie, Countess of Wessex, have emerged as pivotal figures, playing increasingly prominent roles within the royal household and stepping up to fulfill important duties on behalf of Queen Elizabeth II. One notable instance of Edward taking on a leadership role occurred in November 2021 during the opening of the General Synod, a significant event for the Church of England. Queen Elizabeth, who traditionally attends such important occasions, entrusted her youngest son with representing her, a gesture that underscored Edward's growing responsibilities within the family. His presence at the event not only demonstrated his commitment to supporting the monarchy, but also highlighted his readiness to step into roles traditionally occupied by more senior members of the royal family. This development is part of a broader trend where Edward and Sophie have increasingly taken on more visible and substantive roles in public engagements and royal duties. They are not alone in this evolution. A group often referred to as the Magnificent Seven, comprising Prince Charles, Camilla Parker Bowles, Prince William, Kate Middleton, and Princess Anne, has similarly expanded its collective responsibilities in support of the Queen. Edward and Sophie's inclusion in this group reflects their growing stature within the royal family hierarchy and their dedication to serving the monarchy. Now, fans are asking how the royal couple's relationship is now. Celebrating their 23rd anniversary of engagement recently, Edward and Sophie reflected on their enduring bond with heartfelt sentiments that resonated with their journey together. As reported by Hello, their engagement announcement was a moment of genuine joy and affection, where Edward openly expressed his admiration for Sophie. He remarked that marrying his best friend was a foundation of their relationship, emphasizing, "We are the very best of friends, and that's essential, but it also helps that we also love each other very much." This declaration not only underscored their deep emotional connection, but also highlighted the importance of friendship as a cornerstone of their marriage. Sophie, equally enamored and appreciative of their relationship, shared her perspective on their enduring partnership. She expressed how their shared interests and laughter have been fundamental to their happiness together. "I think we share a number of interests, we laugh a lot, and we have a great friendship," Sophie revealed, encapsulating the essence of their companionship and mutual understanding. What do you think about Prince Edward and Sophie's marriage? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.